Abarera Legos Ram Ori Banish C10 Demonio Dinaja 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 Abarera Legos Ram Ori Banish C Abarera Legos Ram Ori Banish C10 Demonio Dinaja Abarera Legos Ram Ori Banish.
Oh, hello, everyone. Welcome to Satan and Coffee. Good morning. And as we always begin, hail Satan, hail Lilith, hail Lucifer, hail Pyman, hail Baphomet, hail thyself. We reject the Trinity, we reject the baptism of John, and we reject the baptism of the Spirit. Welcome, everyone. And as per usual, because this is a morning show, no camera. So I do hope you guys enjoy the moon and clouds with the logo. It seems that this is going to be a pretty regular way of doing this. Hope you all have had a amazing week. And as we begin the new week, the precursor, the new week eve, right? So I do hope that you all are enjoying your weekend and have some great things planned for the coming week. If the reading from Mystic last night gave us anything, is that we were coming to some very positive energy, it seems. And as such, I thought it appropriate for today to talk about the foundations of the Infernal Temple. Right? Because we like to talk about a lot on the show. We talk a lot about building the temple in your mind, but we don't necessarily talk about how to do that, now do we? So, what we're going to be getting into is building your own code of power, creating a personal Infernal Commandment Tablet, whether that be on a piece of paper, piece of stone, piece of wood, however is most easiest for you. And what we're going to build off of with this today is from the rubble of ruin, you raise your first altar. Okay, so we gather not beneath a steeple, but beneath the blackened sky of our own becoming. We do not kneel, for our power demands no supplication. This is the Infernal Temple, and you are its architect. And I want us to hold on to that as we move through this today. Okay, we talk about the left-hand path, and one of the very important principles of the left-hand path is that you are both creator and destroyer. Creator being the architectural designer of your own being. Okay, so temples, both ancient and internal, are never born pristine. Anything of power is never born perfect, and we do not strive for perfection. The gods of old demanded temples. The gods of now build them from within. Self-deification. Creating your own space in your own mind to be your own god. To offer at the altar of yourself. So, in destruction, when things fall apart, we have an opportunity to rebuild. We don't always see it as things are falling apart, as the chaos beckons and the smoke bellows. we don't always see the opportunity for reconstruction, for rebuilding, for being stronger, for being better after the destruction is finished. When we look at the tower, right, we like to talk about the tower as a negative card, as being everything falling apart. And when we pull the tower, I don't look at the tower as a negative. I look at the tower as relief, because it means the old is about to crumble and fall away. That is what the tower represents. That is where the tower should be seen, as that, as the beginning of something new. Because when you're going to start something new, when you're going to rebuild, when you're going to become stronger, the old needs to go away. You need to get rid of the old. It needs to be destroyed. You need to allow yourself to tear away the old. And I think this is something that a lot of people fall into a problem with when it comes to building that place in your mind, is you can't let go of the past. Humans are a species that operate off of memory, which is why fear, anger, and hatred are such powerful emotions for us, because it's much easier for us to remember negativity. And this is a survival instinct. This is an ingrained survival instinct that we've had since probably the dawn of our creation. You know, it's important for us to remember things that hurt us. And Satan Coffee Shop. It's important for us to remember the things that hurt us, because if we can remember the things that hurt us, we can avoid them. So our brains have a natural disposition to hold on to the things that hurt, hold on to the things that cause fear, hold on to the things that just we don't want around, so we can identify them. We don't really pay attention to, you know, the things that are good, because they're good. They don't hurt. So while we do this and we try to build this temple, we must understand that the first step of building the temple to yourself is to cut away the fat, burn out the cancer, identify the things that are holding you back, no matter how much you want to hold on to them because of their familiarity. Friends, family, anything and everything that you think is holding you back and stopping you from being the full version of yourself needs to be stripped away. And it's to say, like, if we use Lucifer as an example here, or at least the story of Lucifer, the biblical story of Lucifer, Lucifer's fall has always been looked at as a fall to damnation, at least biblically speaking. Lucifer's fall was not a fall to damnation, but rather a descent to dominion. Lucifer, in his fall, in his dissension, ripped away everything that was holding him back. Ripped away the naysayers. Ripped away the confusion. And forged a path that at the time no other had done. And it is through that example that we have to hold steadfast and build the Infernal Temple inside of ourselves. Before we build any external temples, before we build any walls, we must build internally, inside of ourselves. We must have that anchor point inside. And once we have that anchor point inside, everything else just kind of falls into place, as it should. So the Infernal Temple begins with the first choice to rise again, not the final form. So I ask you, What in your life has been rubble? What is something that feels like it's starting to fall apart? I'm sure we all have something that feels like it's starting to fall apart. I know I do. It could be something small, it could be something big. When we think of things falling apart, we have a tendency of kind of thinking about like big things falling apart. It doesn't necessarily need to be big things that are falling apart. It could be a friend that's not talking to you anymore, or your gaming group is getting smaller. These little things are indicators of moments in time, right? Call it a cornerstone. Yeah, there you go. So things falling apart doesn't necessarily mean that it's a big thing. Like I would say, let's use the gaming example. Let's say you're getting old. Yeah, there you go. Same here, homie. Same here. When we look at like that, I remember when my gaming group started to get smaller. And I didn't realize it at the time. Like I tried to, schedule more gaming sessions and things like that. And I didn't realize it at the time, but looking at it in retrospect, getting older, it was a time to move on. It was a time to kind of grow, right? Gray, welcome. Good to see you. It's an indicator of a time of growth. It means there's something else that needs to be focused on. And we can look at these things as negatives, as we're losing something, or we can look at them as opportunity, right? Let's go something a little bit more adult, losing a job. Let's say you have a business idea that you've always wanted to try, but never had the time. And for some reason, you get laid off. You get laid off, and guess what? Now you can't pay the rent. We look at that as a negative. Can't pay the rent, can't buy food, no more paychecks coming in. Look at that shit as an opportunity. Right? If you're in the States, probably have unemployment. Go on unemployment for a little while. Right? Strip away the fat. Get rid of the things that you don't need in your life. Invest money into yourself. Much like we do spiritually when we're building the temple. Invest in yourself. Invest in your ideas. Build something out. The Infernal Temple has no holy book. You are the scripture. So Infernal Commandments. Now, the beautiful thing about Infernal Commandments is a lot of people want something to follow. They want a set of rules, guidelines, ideas set out in a book written by someone else to tell them how they should live their life. Infernal Commandments are a set of personal principles written in blood, shadow, and sovereignty. Your infernal commandments. Unlike dogmatic commandments, they are written to control. Yours are written to awaken. Dogmatic commandments from the Bible, from spiritual groups, those are designed to control you. As I say, that you must live inside these lines. Or you don't. You're not a part of this. Face expulsion. Control through fear. I follow these ideas, though they are not my own, for fear of being expelled from the herd. That is very anti-left-hand path. Some examples of infernal commandments. I owe nothing to gods who never bled for me. These are some of my own. I will speak my name into the void until it echoes back as thunder. I choose the fire, I do not flee from it. I will shape pain into power and never apologize for it. There's a few examples of some infernal commandments. I'm not talking about an entity, I'm talking about an idea. Infernal is the contrast. I think that holy and or divine and infernal are two sides of the same coin. Infernality is the idea of descent. Because that's what I work with. I work with infernal entities. There's nothing wrong with it. I prefer infernal over divine. If you choose to use divine or holy, then so be it, your choice. But infernal is the direction that I go with things. So, what I would encourage everyone to do when you have the opportunity, maybe today, is to write 5 or 10 personal commandments on black paper or stone, slate, like, or maybe a piece, piece of wood. What I would like to do, mine are on a piece of paper in a grimoire. But what I would like to do is I'd like to get a piece of wood and a wood burner and burn them into a piece of wood, and then kind of hang it on the wall in my ritual room. Is what I would like to do. Just haven't gotten around to it. Point here is I would encourage everyone to take a bit of time today after the sermon to write out some personal commandments. Some personal infernal commandments. And again, like, I'll give you the examples of mine again. I'll repeat them one more time. At least the 4 out of the 10. I owe nothing to gods who never bled for me. I will speak my name into the void until it echoes back as thunder. I choose the fire. I do not flee from it. I will shape pain into power and never apologize for it. These are principles that you want to live off of. Your own principles. Your own moral compass. Right? Your own infernal compass. Built out in front of you. An idea of who and what you want to be is the beginning of building the infernal altar inside of yourself. The foundation of building the Infernal Temple. The Bible had its commandments carved in stone. So shall yours be. But this time in truth. And this is an important thing here. Honesty. Be honest with yourself. So a lot of people have been asking about the Infernal Compass coaching program. And maybe I should become one of those goofy evangelical idiots that talk about their coaching programs and building people a life of perfection, because I feel like with the Infernal Compass, it is the complete opposite of that. It is a coaching program to help you improve your life, but by no means of the imagination at the end of it. Are you going to have a perfect life? You're not all of a sudden going to feel super powerful and invincible and motivated to do all the things that you want to do at the end of that program. Especially if you work the steps the way that you're supposed to. After the first pillar, you're probably going to feel like a piece of shit. Be completely honest. By the time we get to the 6th one, probably not going to feel much better outside of the fact that you know that you've been honest with yourself. That's the point of the Infernal Compass. That's the point of the conversation today. That's the point of today's sermon. Honesty. The foundation of the Infernal Temple is honesty. Truth. Not your truth, the truth. Objectively looking at yourself. Not subjectively. Not in a rose-colored lens, to make your choices feel better, to make you feel better about your choices, to justify actions, justifications for bad behavior, what could be perceived as bad behavior. Truth and honesty in who and what you are and what you do is the foundation of the Infernal Temple, is the foundation of self-deification. Before you do anything, the only way to take your power back is to be honest with yourself. You have to look at yourself, be able to look at yourself in the mirror and say, I've done it. I did the work. Now you have a solid foundation to build on. But if you try to manipulate yourself into believing in justifications for the things that you don't want to see in yourself, you're building your temple on a rocky foundation that has holes, that's sinking into the ground. And it will fall. It will collapse. And depending on how big you build that temple inside of yourself, the larger you build something on rocky ground, on unstable foundations, the harder and more impactful the crash when it does come down. And it will fall down. But if you clean your slate and are honest with yourself, with who and what you are, and you put that work in to clear that slate, you're not going to feel powerful. You're not going to feel amazing. Your life isn't going to be fucking perfect. But you can look in the mirror and say, I've been honest with myself and I know what I need to do. And you can start doing that. And that is the foundation of the Infernal Temple. You don't need me to fucking do that for you. You don't need anyone to do that for you. You just need to take the step yourself. That's it. You just need to fucking move. You don't owe anyone anything, but you owe yourself everything. So act like it. You owe no God any reverence, but you owe yourself all of it. Start acting like you do. So, the next segment is one segment that I like to kind of add. I'm kind of slowly beginning to add this in. You guys don't have to follow this exactly, but some of you guys have been interested in like certain kind of like, you know, ritual ideas. And so I'm trying to, for, you know, at least Satan and Coffee, to include a ritual segment to give you guys an idea of how to do things. So when we talked about, you know, doing the Infernal Commandments, our personal moral compass, right? I've kind of come up with a bit of a ritual that you can do while doing that, if you want to. The tablet of the Infernal Will. So a piece of slate, black paper, or wooden plaque, red or black ink, or paint, or you can also add some blood in there if it's symbolic. A pen, quill, or ritual blade. Okay, a candle, black or red. An incense, dragon's blood, myrrh, or sulfuric blends. Okay? Center yourself in silence. Light the candle and speak aloud. From the rubble of ruin, I raise my first altar. Repeat that as many times as you need. Now, I find repetition to be very important in ritual. So, while we are doing ritual, while we're doing this ritual, from the rubble of ruin, I raise my first altar. Repeat that as many times as it takes you to build the altar in your mind, to see the temple begin construction in your mind. You are building something here. It's not going to appear complete, nor should it. I want you to visualize the rubble and the ruin The things that you have torn away in your life, the things that need to be torn away, I want you to visualize them being torn away. And from that rubble and from that ruin, I want you to visualize your altar and then your temple building around it. Write out your commandments as an act of declaration. Seal it with your chosen name, sigil, or infernal symbol. Burn incense as a sign of transmutation. Your words are now sacred. Let this be the law by which I rise. Let this be the stone no God dares break. Allow me to repeat that one more time. Let this be the law by which I rise. Let this be the stone no God dares break. And the one thing I would be interested in seeing, if any of you choose to do this, I would be interested in seeing in the comments some of your infernal commandments that you've written for yourself, or if it's too personal, you can DM them in Discord or send an email. I'd like to see it. See what you guys are coming up with, what direction you're going with. So, obviously this live is recorded, so if you need to go back and go through the ritual steps, then feel free to do so as many times as you need. Turning belief into practice. The temple is not measured by stone, but by how you live your truth. Okay, what is one commandment you fail to live by? And how will you reinforce it this week? Think of something in your mind, something that you've been meaning to set a boundary on. Boundaries are probably the easiest ones to go with because a lot of us have a problem setting boundaries. Living with your boundaries, setting your boundaries with people can be a commandment, right? Or any commandment that you feel that, or principle that you live by, that you've failed to live by as of late. And how are you going to reinforce it this week? This week coming forward, how are you going to reinforce your commandments, your principles, your morals? Right? Assert a boundary. Speak an uncomfortable truth. Break a toxic cycle, for some examples. Right? Practical micro actions to embody your code. So again, those are just assert a boundary. Speak an uncomfortable truth. Doesn't have to be to someone, it can be to yourself. Remember, this is self-deification. But be honest with yourself. You have to be honest with yourself before you're honest with others. Or break a toxic cycle. Identify something that you keep repeating that keeps hurting you. Or bringing you into a situation of hurt and pain. And start the process of breaking that cycle. Building a temple or temple building is a daily process. This is a discipline. This is the discipline of deification. I'm going to repeat that one more time. The discipline of deification. Becoming your own God requires you to be disciplined. They gave you a cage and called it a church. You're building a throne and calling it self. Don't just believe it, be it. Or it's just poetry, not power. I'll let you guys sit on that one for a second. Let me repeat that. You're building a throne and calling it a self. Be it, or it's just poetry, not power. The world will never hand you power. You were born to take it. And this is an important thing to understand. Always remember, the power that is inside yourself. Power is never given. It has to be taken. You have to take what is your birthright. The Infernal Temple is yours to build. One word, one act, one commandment at a time. Again, you know, when you guys have these written out, or if you already have some, share some of them in the comments, or an email, or a DM. I'm curious in seeing them. I'm interested in knowing them. And if, put it this way, if you would like me to read some of your commandments in the next sermon next week, next Sunday, put them in the comments and I will read them. And you can, you know, we can either do it anonymously or we can, you know, I can shout you out. And another thing I'd like to see is if you guys do create physical tablets of these, I'd like to see those, and I'd also like to share those, to share you guys' progress with this, because then it'd be very inspiring to other people that maybe are struggling to kind of figure out what they should be doing. So if you follow the foundation, if you build on a solid foundation, your Infernal Temple, you are not fallen, you are forming, and this temple will never fall. So, another thing that can be done, just going to kind of throw a little bit of extra in here, another thing that can be done when it comes to demonolatry, if you work with the demonic, be sure to assign them as guardians to your commandments. I know Lucifer and Lilith, Hymen, Satan, and Samael are definitely pillars for me when it comes to the commandments that I follow and the principles that I live by. So, with that being said, we kind of end as we always begin. Hail Satan, hail Lilith, hail Lucifer, hail Hymen, hail Baphomet. We reject the Trinity, we reject the baptism of John, and we reject the baptism of Spirit. And most of all, hail thy fucking self. Thank you all for being here. You guys are fucking amazing. And I'll see you in the next one. See you guys on Tuesday. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend, and a wonderful infernal beginning to the week. Hail thyself.